Then the SARS income tax. Remember, here that amount cancel that amount. Therefore, for the SARS income tax, these are two amounts, are the amounts that we paid during the year. How much did we pay during the year? We paid, the total that we paid during the year would be 270,000 plus 250,000. All in all, we have paid 520,000. And then how much were we supposed to pay? Our tax liability for the year is 510, which means we have paid 10,000 more. Therefore, when you balance this account, this is the bigger side. It will be 520,000. 520,000 is the bigger side. Minus 510, we have 10,000. This will be your balance carried down, and then this will be your balance brought down. 10,000. We were supposed to pay 510. We paid 520 in the form of provisional tax payments, which means SARS, because it's a debit balance, this is money, SARS owes the business 10,000 rand because we paid 10,000 more than we were supposed to. Therefore, it has a debit balance. In the interest of time, I'm not going to balance the bank account. But I would immediately move to the note of the fixed asset, or not of the fixed asset, of the share capital. Now, and you are going to use the information that we already have in our ledger. Now, the note of the share capital is divided into authorized and issued. That is why I said it's important to be able to distinguish between the two. How many shares were authorized? 800,000 shares were authorized. And therefore, you will only put the amount of 800,000 shares. Remember, these are no power value shares. Therefore, you must not have any amount there because these are no power value shares. Now, ordinary shares in issue at the beginning of the year, we have already established that at the beginning of the year, we had 500,000 shares in issue. Therefore, you will enter it there. 500,000 shares were in issue, and the value of those shares were how much? 2,500,000. 2,500,000 shares. Shares issued during the year, 200,000 shares were issued. Therefore, you will write the amount here. 200,000 shares were issued. And the value of those shares, we calculated that value. When we made this entry, we said it is 1,280,000. Right. How many shares were repurchased? How many shares were repurchased? We said 60,000 shares. We said 60,000 shares were repurchased. Then you'll have your 60,000 shares there. And then the shares were repurchased at the average price of, we calculated that average price. The shares were repurchased at the average price of R5.40. We have already calculated that. R5.40. And the total of the 600,000 multiplied by R5.40, we have already calculated it at 324,000. 324,000. And this amount must be subtracted, and these shares must be subtracted. Which means at the end of the year, how many shares are in issue? You have 500 plus 200 minus 60, 700 minus 60, that will give you 640,000 shares. 640,000 shares are in issue, and then the total value of our shares would be 2,500,000 shares plus 1,280,000 shares minus 324,000. That will give you 3,456,000. Now, I want us to compare this with our ordinary share capital account. Now, when you look at that note, there you have your ordinary share capital. You see that your balance, your closing balance is 3,456,000, and then you look at your share capital account. Your closing balance is also 3,456,000. Actually, what does it mean? It means now that this note is actually your ordinary share capital account in a narrative form, because it contains the same information. 2,500,000 plus 1,280,000 minus 324, which is exactly what we did in our ledger. 2,500,000 plus 1,280,000 minus 324, it gave us 3,456,000. Now, let us quickly go through to your retained income, because we have only an hour, and I can see on my clock that we are left with only 10 minutes.